Looks like we're live.
Looks like it. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We are super excited to be here. We have an amazing guest today with a wonderful story of overcoming a disability. And we are super excited to talk about this. So if you're here with us live, say hello, drop us the hashtag live, give us a like in the comments. I am Brittany. I am a holistic nutritionist and owner of Fresh and Fit Nutrition. I am here with Chris, other fellow admin and owner of Rock Your Health Coaching. And we are here with Alison Leitheiser. Did I say that right, Alison?
Close, really close. No one ever says it right.
How do you say it?
Light, high, sir.
Leitheiser. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I love that. With Inner Restoration. And we are here and we are going to learn a little bit about Alison's story of overcoming a crazy disability that you would think that most people could never overcome. And then we're going to learn a little bit more about her and how she now helps other people. So hi, Alison. Thank you so much for being here. We are super excited to learn more about you.
Yeah, I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your story. Where did your healing journey begin?
Well, I say it began when I was 16, but it really began before that. I had quite a childhood of like holistic health already. I'm the youngest of 5 kids, so my mom had been through the ringer of some mysterious diseases. So we didn't eat a lot of sugar. We didn't eat, we ate really healthy, and I took supplements and went to a chiropractor and all that kind of stuff. I got mono in grade 6, and I was a competitive gymnast. So I really pushed my body hard. Then in high school, I got mono again, which, annoying. And this wasn't like, oh yeah, my throat's sore and I'm still going about my day. It was like I couldn't get out of bed for months. So it really hit me hard. And then in high school, I did pole vaulting. Also, I did soccer and cross country and track, and I was really pushing myself hard. I was super committed to excellence, and I paid for that with my life, basically. So I got a virus and I just could not heal from it. And then because I had some really bad falls in gymnastics and pole vaulting, I had a lot of neck issues. And later we found out that some of my neck vertebra, like the parts of my spine, were crumbling. So I really had no support there. And the virus just went right into my spinal cord. So from that, it ate away my nervous system, and I was having seizures and a tremendous amount of pain. And then I started falling a lot. I started being super dizzy, horrible head pain, a lot of weakness. And then I couldn't sit up by myself, and then I couldn't walk, and then I couldn't even scratch my nose or brush my teeth or wipe myself when I went to the bathroom. So it became like really fast. And so at this point, we're like, okay, this is a problem. We've been seeing doctors and specialists and stuff, but we were in the hospital. They ran a ton of tests, and they unfortunately really mismanaged me. So I was having a lot of reactions from, just mismanagement. And then my body fully became quadriplegic. Like I couldn't even turn my head. And I think my body had just gone into shock with all of these really unfortunate interventions that were happening. So I was fully quadriplegic for about 4 months. And meanwhile, we were doing everything we could holistically, because the doctors had basically sent me home and we don't know exactly what's happening, but we think, the virus is eating your body and your organs. So that they didn't really know if I was going to live or die. And, at this point, I didn't know if I wanted to live or die, because the pain was so intense and my function was so limited. It was pretty uncomfortable. I was a junior in high school at this point. So my friends were picking out prom dresses and I'm not like sure if I'm going to make it. So it was very much a like dig deep kind of moment for me. And the way that turned around was they sent me to an intense physical rehab place. And, with my like athletic predisposition, I was like, okay, I'm going to walk for my mom's birthday, because she had been my main caregiver. So I had this goal and I pushed myself really hard, but the medications that they were giving me and the exercises that were giving me were just, helping me push myself. They weren't fixing the problem. They weren't fixing the damage in my organs. They weren't fixing the nervous system damage. So what happened was I did walk for my mom. Actually, it was like a made for TV movie moment. They stood me up and I like took my first couple steps and fell into her arms, and we were crying and it was awesome. But I actually ended up relapsing and wasn't fully quadriplegic, but I definitely couldn't sit up by myself and I couldn't walk. So we looked at a bunch of different specialists, bunch of different therapies. And then about a year later, we found this clinic called integrative manual therapy. And that is what helped me walk again, like sustainably. So we did, as you guys know, nutrition is so important. So they were giving me like a very high fat diet to help me rebuild the myelin sheath, which if you think about an electrical cord, like the wires underneath is the nerve, and then the plastic coating on the outside would be the myelin sheath. So it helps like conduct that electrical signal. So mine had been eaten away. So we were doing high fat to help remyelinate that sheath and protect those nerves. And we were doing a ton of manual therapy interventions, ton of exercises, ton of wonderful things to help support my body to really recover, to be nourished, and to heal from the root cause, not necessarily just like slapping a Band-Aid on those symptoms. So that's where I like got my start. And then, when they said that they could help us, we hadn't heard that, for almost a year. So that's what I wanted to do for other people, was give them hope and be someone who could be there in the trenches, even if someone had tried everywhere else and been like, I have A, no hope, and B, I have no idea how to get better. So that's typically the kind of person that I see these days. And the combination of organ relief and nervous system training is where my passion is now.
That's amazing. Wow. From where you were to where you are now. And you told us told Brittany a little tidbits, pretty cool as well, that you hadn't mentioned here regarding being on TV, was it?
Oh, yes. Yes, I was.
Cool.
I had a manual therapy clinic, and my business partner and I treated patients, and we had all these kinds of wonderful people, but we wanted to incorporate more functional movement. And he loved American Ninja Warrior and parkour. So we actually went in and opened up a gym that specialized in parkour and Ninja Warrior. And it's still there. It's called, actually, he just changed the name. I can't think of what it is. We moved, so we're not involved anymore. It used to be called Apex Movement. I think it's called Squadron now, but it's in Northern California. And so he had been on the show a bunch of times, and my brother and my husband and myself, we all went on the show too. We all got accepted, and I got to compete on American Ninja Warrior for a couple seasons. I didn't do great, but I did better than a lot, like the 75% of people.
Amazing.
So it's really fun. It's really fun to be there. And growing up, doing gymnastics so intensely, I always wanted to go to the Olympics. Like, that was a dream of mine. And it was so fun, you guys. On the second season that I competed on American Ninja Warrior, they had invited a bunch of Olympians to compete on the course. So, and there weren't a lot of women doing it. There's still not a lot of women doing it, but when I was doing it, there was really hardly anybody doing it. And so all the Olympian ladies and me were hanging out, and I was like, so fun. I was so it's just a beautiful exchange, It's so cool.
That is really amazing. Like your story is incredible. And we think, you know, a lot of times like, oh, you know, like I remember like I was lucky I never got it, but I remember I had friends, you know, that got mono when I was younger, and it was,
Yeah.
you know, people were like, oh, don't kiss them, they have mono, and like, but,
Right.
you know, but you just assume that it kind of goes, you know, away,
Yeah.
and don't really realize the impact that these things can have, you know, long term on our body. And how incredible is that you were able to find, you know, the help that you needed, and it took a long time, you know, but you were able to fully restore your body and compete on American Ninja
That's awesome.
Warrior, like not once but twice. Whether you did good or not, I mean, like that's just like,
You were there.
yeah, being able to, you know, do that, I guarantee I would probably not do well. And I never, you know, struggled with physical health like you did as well. That is just such an incredible story. So tell us a little bit about kind of what you do now, who you help, what you really, you know, focus on, and then, you know, what the importance of the nervous system and being able to like regulate this nervous system is.
Yeah. So we mentioned mono, which is like the name of that virus is Epstein-Barr. And what's crazy to me is 95% of the population has antibodies for Epstein-Barr. So 95% of the population has had it or been exposed to it at some level, but not everybody gets mono, right? Like, so there's something that happens to trigger a virus into activity, into action, into like being a problem for the immune system. And to me, that's the nervous system. So there can be a nondescript, neutral stimulus, and you might respond to it differently, Brittany. Chris, you might respond to it differently, Brittany. Respond to the stimulus differently, and I might respond to it differently. So because our nervous systems are all different. So if you think about kids playing and then a bee flies by, one kid's like, bee. The other kid's like, oh my gosh, there's a bee, you know, and their nervous system saw that bee as a threat, right? That was like a big deal. So somebody's nervous system, the main job of the primitive brain is always asking the question, am I safe? Am I threatened? It's always looking, it's scanning the horizon. All of our senses are giving our brain information. Are you safe? Are you threatened? And unfortunately, in today's day of high-paced life and all the news and all the last 2 years, the incredible amounts of unprecedented stress, our brains are getting the signal that we're threatened, we're not safe. So that changes, there's 2 gears of the nervous system. One is parasympathetic, which is rest, digest, and heal. And the other one is the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, or freeze. So if your brain is taking in information and it decides, say that bee is a problem, it is going to cause damage, then we go into this mode of fight, flight, or freeze. So this has a huge cascade on the rest of the body, because that changes blood flow, that changes organ function, that changes inflammatory cascades, changes your hormones. So there's so many times when we're like, okay, I'm going to be awesome with my diet, or I'm going to take this supplement, but we're not changing the way that our brain is actually interpreting signals and then sending those signals to the rest of the body. So what I love to teach people is how to empower themselves to train their own nervous system. So, because we can see a practitioner once a week, once a month, whatever it is, but really in reality, we have to be in control of how to reset ourselves, how to move from fight, flight, or freeze into rest, digest, and heal. And if we can't, and if we get stuck there, then there's so many symptoms that pop up. You know, there's hormonal dysregulation, there's digestive issues, there's elimination issues, there's detox issues. And so I love to teach people how to do that themselves so that they can move flexibly between the 2 gears of the nervous system, so that they can heal, so that they can not have insomnia and they can not feel run over when they wake up in the morning. So that's like where my passion lies, and why I think it's so important, because it has such a like top dog effect it's like the gatekeeper, I think, for almost all the rest of the symptoms, because we're really accessing a primitive foundational part of the human body.
That's amazing, and it kind of touches into what Brittany does as a gut health coach, specializes in that, and like I said, elimination and digesting properly and so forth. If we can eat all the best foods, but our nervous system is off, that's only going to do so good. So everything needs to be in balance.
Exactly.
And I'm sure you've heard this too, Alison. I know Brittany and I have spoken about this as well. Again, this information is for educational purposes only, and not meant to diagnose, but to prevent. But what I'm getting to is the number 1 and 2 risk factors in the past 2 years with the elephant in the room, I'll just say that, are overweight, obesity, and stress and mindset. So just keep it to that effect without getting too much into it, but that's getting back to what you just mentioned.
Well, and 95% of diseases or more are
Right.
related, right? So this is a problem, that the stress has been so high and that we don't know how to get out of it. It's a big problem, because that's gonna, if we don't do something about it now, it's gonna do something for us later.
Right. On the back end, it'll hurt us. That's, like I said, it all goes back to stress.
Yeah. And I do love working with nutritionists, because I don't have a nutrition license, but it pairs so well, because if you're not getting the raw materials to repair your body, that's also a problem. But if you have the raw materials and your nervous system is off, you're not going to absorb them as well. You're not going to be able to digest or like integrate them into your system as well. So they really work hand in hand, the nervous system and the digestive system. And it's a game changer to be able to reset your nervous system before every meal. Like, make sure you're in rest, digest, and heal. Make sure you're in that parasympathetic nervous system state, so that you can get the most out of your nutrition, so that you spent time and money preparing this wonderful meal. Like, why not get the most out of it?
Absolutely. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
That's okay. We deal with stuff on a daily basis. We're driving down the road, things going good, and someone cuts us off. And then we get the sensation of all the blood flowing to our extremities, our hands, feet, etc., because it's like, help. So what can we do in that, when that happens, to kind of balance us out in a sense?
Well, I think that's such a good example, because really we've evolved to look for threat. We're like, if you think of hunter and gatherers, like, we are looking for the tiger in the forest or the lion or whatever. And so now what that looks like now is traffic, or being late for a meeting. That can cause that incredibly strong stress response, because we're so far, like, our cup is so full, it doesn't take much to spill us over. And really, I think the easiest thing to think about is breathing. And sometimes we can't always access that in the moment, because we're too stressed and we're not using our rational mind, because our primitive brain has taken over. But breathing is like a back door into the nervous system, because if you are taking deep breaths and you're using your full lungs, you're breathing slowly, that is telling your brain, like, I'm not running from a tiger. I wouldn't be breathing like this if I had to be running from a tiger right now. So it's like, oh wait, okay, are we okay? So it can help us to reevaluate, kind of press a refresh button on that moment. There's so many other ways, and what I love to do is help people identify like an exercise or 2 or 3 that are helpful to reset them. And same, because our threats are different, our resets are different. So it's individual for everybody. I have like workshops, and I have a 8-month program that's intensive for people to go through and really learn so much about their body, reset their organs, reset their level of health. But there's such an individual component to each of us, and we have to honor that when we're healing. So breathing, I think, is generally a pretty good crowd pleaser, but that's something that I will often do that preemptively, Chris. I'll be like doing my breathing exercises in the car because I do get stressed in traffic, or, I want to like lower my baseline. So if someone cuts me off, I'm like, hey, God bless you. I bet you're having a bad day and feeling stressed and you made a bad decision. So.
Yeah, I love that. That's super important, just talking about the breath, and I focus a lot on that too. And, there's a reason why we have that saying, like, just breathe, like, it helps like relax everything. And I found, breath work super helpful for myself, really helpful for my clients as well. And especially like you were mentioning before meals, like getting into that relaxed state. I always recommend, taking a few big deep breaths, cleansing breaths, relax, look at your plate, feel gratitude for the nutrients that food is going to provide you, say a prayer, give thanks, and get yourself really relaxed before you start to nourish your body, because yes, like that's so important. If we're in that chronic state of stress, there's inflammation, we're not going to be absorbing those nutrients properly, and it's going to make it really hard for our bodies to heal.
Yeah,
I love it. Oh, we got a couple little comments here. Laura says that makes so much sense back when you were talking about just like the breathing, all of that stuff. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments too, and Alison can answer them in real time. So tell us a little bit more now about like, who do you help? Do you just help like anyone who's stressed out? Is there like a person that you really like focus on? Who would be a good fit to work with you?
In my private practice, I'm mostly full. I do work with anybody, but my online, I have like workshops that people can do, and that's for anybody. But my 8-month intensive program is just for women. And I have a particular perspective that, especially if you help the mom, if you help the stressed out mom, that's so powerful, because she's the center of the web, and she connects so many things for the family. And so I've been trying to like really hone in on supporting the mom, because it's hard to do it by yourself, and you have to reset yourself, let alone everybody else. And for kids, it's so important, because if your nervous system is regulated, then that's the trellis that they grow on.
Yeah.
That's the trellis that they climb on. So if we're stressed out and dysregulated, our kids are going to be too. So we have a huge influence when we can put that oxygen mask on ourselves and prioritize our own regulation, because that's going to have like ripple effects on your friends, on your work, on your parents, on your kids. So that's where I love to focus my attention now. Yeah,
that's awesome, and I totally agree. And I noticed that even as like a young mom, the way I reacted, she played off that. So if I was anxious and stressed and then her reaction would be the same. And it was like she was feeding off of my, anxious energy.
Yeah.
And so that's really important. And I think it is, because moms, we kind of are the glue, and we've got everything, and so it's really important to focus on us. And I think have you found that like there's a lot of mom guilt, where moms, we tend to put ourselves last, right? We put everybody else first, and that just leaves us in a really bad situation. What have you found with that and working with these moms?
What I find is that because we don't prioritize ourselves when we're younger moms, I tend to work with women like in their 40s and 50s, because they're finally coming in from air and they're like, something's wrong and I need to change. And they're willing to invest that time and energy into themselves, which a lot of times we're not willing to do that as a younger mom. And we feel like we don't have the time and don't have the money to really put ourselves first. It seems like it takes a unique person who has that 30,000 foot view of like, okay, if I do this for myself, it is for me. It is for me, but it's also for all these other people. Taking care of myself is actually taking care of them. So I think it does take a unique person to have that perspective, even in the midst of chaos. And the kind of people, like looking back at my undiagnosed quadriplegia, I think that I probably had chronic severe neurologic Lyme, and among other things. but I do work with people with like Lyme disease, POTS, MS, like digestive issues, so many like headaches and migraines and anxiety, that like neuro kind of issues.
Yeah.
But that seems to be like the general people, a lot of chronic pain, a lot of chronic pain. Because when when we don't just get information from our breathing, we get information from all of our senses. And going back to that lion in the forest or the tiger in the forest, when we are in that hunter-gatherer space, we can have a different survival window when we see a threat. So we get 10 million signals per second per eye, which to me, every time I say it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like we are so wonderfully and fearfully made. It's so cool. But if we can see that threat in the distance, then we can turn around and go somewhere else. If we like hear that lion walking next to us, if we get it from our auditory system, our ears, that gives us a different window of survival opportunity. And if we got it through like how our body feels in space with how we're walking out in the forest, or like the clothes on our skin, that's called proprioception. If we like felt that lion mouth on us, that would be a much shorter window of opportunity, right? So the eyes are actually like the highest priority information givers to the decision of, am I threatened or am I not threatened? So they're like the ones calling the shots a lot of the time. And sometimes they don't agree with the other systems. And that's a problem, because it's called sensory mismatch. And that can lead to so much anxiety, so much chronic pain, so many posture issues. And there's so much that has to do with our lifestyle right now, where we're looking down at our phones, and our visual system is very dysfunctional. We're not using our full vision. We're on the computer a lot. We're on our phones a lot. We're looking at the TV screen, and we're getting all this artificial information. And so I find that a lot of people's visual systems are the like underlying reason why they are getting migraines, where they're not digesting, why they are not sleeping, because their eyes are not working together. And the information that their brain is getting is like, oh my gosh, you better lay down in a dark room and not go anywhere because something's wrong. This info is not matching up.
That's really crazy. I can't believe, I mean, I know it was a lot, and like how our brain fires, so rapidly, but you said 10 million per
Wow.
eye?
Per eye per second.
That's
Wow.
crazy. That
Yeah.
is.
You guys think, I always think of like those spy movies where they take like the agent into the room for like 2 seconds, and they're like, okay, what'd you see? And they're like, okay, well, there's 5 exits, there's a man in a red hat that looks suspicious, they're like naming off all these things. And because they're like in touch with their visual system and all the information that their brain is getting, so we can train ourselves, and I just think that's like a fun way to think about like how much information our brain is getting.
That is awesome. Karen said, this is great. She said, thank you for doing this for the people. She missed the little first part of it. So Karen, you can always go back and watch the replay. It'll be featured in the guide section under Alison's section, and will be pinned to the announcements for the rest of the week as well. But yeah, thank you so much, Alison, for just coming in here, sharing your story. Like, wow, like that's incredible. I just want people out there to know and understand, like, there is hope. That is why we have this practitioner program. We want to provide you guys with people who have been through this stuff, who know what they're doing, who know how to heal, and just have a heart to serve. So if anything, that Alison said resonated with you, feel free to contact her. She's featured in our practitioner directory as well, which is featured pinned to the announcements. So before we let you go, can you just maybe give us, like, I know it's probably, there's so many, but like just maybe a couple tips for people if they are, experiencing this anxiety, this stress, like what can they do other than I know we talked about the breathing, but just a couple little things that they can implement on a day-to-day basis to kind of help regulate their nervous system.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. I have a Facebook group where I share a lot of training, so you can like try different things and see what works for you, because I'm working on it, but I don't have a crystal ball yet. So I don't know like what everybody's little like, yes, this is it. So I have a lot of stuff up in there. I have I think that hope, you've mentioned the word hope, Brittany, and I love that word. And I think it's so important in the healing journey. And I think that healing is possible and hope is available. And I think that when we have these tools and we can put them together and combine like the mindset and the nutrition and the functional neurology, like you can totally change and transform, even from a quadriplegic like me, former quadriplegic. And there's so much awesome stories of transformation. Actually, I have I wrote a chapter in a book that's coming out on Saturday, October 1st.
Yeah.
There's so many cool stories of overcoming in that. So I think it's like such a hope stir. It's such a heartwarming example to read different things about people, and you can get a free copy. If you want to comment below like book or something, I can connect you with the link. You can download a free copy for the first 24 hours or something like that. So
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely get that in the links, and we'll definitely get your Facebook group in the link in the comments as well, so people can go and join you over there and just learn more about you and what you do. And thank you. Anything else before we let you go?
I was just gonna say, if you read the book and you leave a review, I'm giving people a free workshop, which is usually $375. So
Wow, awesome.
that also can give you like a lot of cool tools to work with and be like, okay, what does my body like? Does it like more the breathing stuff? Does it like more of the, boundary work? Does it like more of the visual stimulation? So that's a quick way to grab something that could be helpful for you.
That's amazing.
They get a free book. They get the free book within the first 24 hours. And then if they leave a review, they also get like a free workshop from you. That's a crazy.
That's really good.
That is awesome. We'll definitely have to promote that more in the group as well, because I think that that would be very beneficial. Oh, and we got a few comments here already. Book.
Cool.
Make sure to tag you in this so we can link that. We can link that in there.
Yeah, and if you guys are watching the replay and I don't see it, like if you can tag me and book, or you can just DM me, that's fine too. So I don't miss you, because it's only for a little window. So I want to make sure you get your free copy if you want it. So you can say like at Alison Leitheiser and book, and then I'll see it.
Tag her, that way she knows, and I'll make sure you're tagged in the video as well as soon as we're done going live here. And thank you so much. I mean, what an incredible story, and thank you for what you do in helping people. It's really needed. We are living in a time where people are stressed, and look at all the neurodegenerative diseases that are just increasing. Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, all of these, autoimmune issues, and just, it's really important what you're doing. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And the pediatric neurodegenerative stuff, like that's a whole new category that we didn't have before. And now it's blowing up. It's crazy. Like we need this information. We need to like everybody get healthier and stay healthy together.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Allison. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Everyone. We'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.